Andy, Jake, hi, it's me. I just got back on the plane and I feel awful. This is so not how I wanted to end things with us. I just wasn't expecting to open that bomb rare. I'm thinking of all the removal I should have played. Because of course I do. I love Fireside Review. What am I doing? I've got to get off this plane!
Let him off the plane! Let him off!
I got off the plane. Welcome into our new Fireside Review.
Yeah, the new set looks absolutely banging, and we've got new mana bases, new guilds to check out, so yeah.
Let's dive right in.
So we've got 5 new guilds to look forward to in the new set of the 5 colours that we didn't cover in the last set. And we've got a mana base to go with it, so you can pretty much play any deck you want, and we're probably going to see some 2 colour and 3 colour decks in standard, but let's kick it off with some Azorius.
So, Senate Guild Mage, I think, is a good 2-drop. Maybe not for standard, but certainly for draft. I think it's a solid card. You know, it actually draw cards for 1 mana. I think that's a really powerful ability. Even the gain in life, I think, late game, that could be handy and good against aggro. Apart from that, I don't think it's one of the strongest sets, guilds.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think Blue White's in a kind of weird spot there. None of the cards necessarily jump out kind of together in this set, but you've got little pieces that will add into the older set. So White-Blue control has always been a bit of the boogeyman of the format since Teferi's been around. So you've got cards like Absorb now, which will be the important counter spell, which might just push control over the edge because they can hold off the aggro decks for just that bit longer. Now, I think one of my favourite cards in the set is the new Dovin Barn. It's a bit of a weird one here. It's a 3-mana Planeswalker, so always exciting, Jake. And but it makes a 1/1 Thopter, so it makes its own body. And I'm starting to think there might be some kind of Flyers deck with favourable wins from the old sets, and playing cards like Dovin Barn and being a bit more proactive than normally you see Blue and White be. And I think that's because the mechanic for Azorius is Addendum. Do you want to tell us about that, Jake?
So I generally think Addendum's pretty underwhelming. From the cost of having your cards be sorcery for minor effects, like Sphinx's Insight, from making it an instant into a sorcery, you only getting the bonus of gaining 2 life.
I know this is a common, but it's probably not better than some of the other 4-mana draw spells we've seen recently. I mean, obviously we've left Glimmer of Genius behind, but still, there's it feels lacking. Yeah.
I think Chemist's Insight's filled that spot anyway. So we've got a powerful new flyer, talking about flyers, and Sphinx of Foresight. A lot of card advantage rolled into this one. It's got a pre-game effect, which we haven't seen for a while, which is generally pretty powerful because you're getting raw card advantage for next to nothing, really, are you? So it reads, so it's a 4-mana, 2 blue, 4/4, flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you scry 1. But if you have it in your opening hand before game, you can reveal it and scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep, which is generally going to be very powerful because you're set for your next 3 turns then.
It's a very strong start, which can make those mulligans decisions a lot easier. And a 4/4 body for 4 is nothing to sniff at, especially when it's a 5/5 with favourable wins.
So one of the new guilds we have in the set is Black and White, which is of course Orzhov. There's a 3-mana Planeswalker with others 3-mana Planeswalkers. Kea, at first it looks a bit underwhelming, but I think it could be good.
Yeah, it looks like it could be definitely a strong sideboard card because it's just that kind of versatile, like Swiss Army knife type card because it does so many different things. But it's pretty exciting to see more 3-mana Planeswalkers, even if in standard at the moment you've got Vraska still, and Vraska destroys any permanents with convert mana cost 3 or less. So maybe that's a kind of a worry playing those like smaller Planeswalkers, which you think you can slam when on their turn 4 they slam their Vraska and destroy your Planeswalker. But there are some other exciting Orzhov cards. You've got the new Fumigate is back, baby.
Oh yeah. 4 mana this time. Bit tricky on the mana base, and you don't get the life for their creatures. For your creatures, you get the life.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Smells good. But a Wrapper card is pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it still does what you want it to do, which is just wipe the board. So I'm excited to toy around with that card and make a Soaker's deck. And yeah, the Planeswalker I'll try and slot in somehow.
Yeah, and the other key reprint they've made is Mortify, which is pretty solid, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah, Mortify is a solid removal spell. 3 mana removal spell has 2 options at instant speed. Is always going to be great. Interestingly, an uncommon before. I didn't know what the rarity was before this, but
yeah, definitely a strong card for 3 mana and instant speed. We've seen cards like that before with Heroes Downfall and such like that. So we've also later in the set we've also got Bedevil from the Rakdos clan, which we're have a bit of a spotlight on later. But cards like that mean you've got 2-3 mana kind of like versatile removal cards. So maybe we'll see a Mardu deck because it's in black, red, white, and the mana bases are pretty good. So maybe we'll see some kind of Mardu control deck with the old Kaya's Wrath as well.
The new mechanic for the Orzhov guild is Afterlife. So it basically means when your creature dies, you get to create a 1/1 fly-in token. So it seems pretty powerful, I like it.
Yeah, it seems strong, and combos with favourable wins.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So, looking into Gruul now. Now, Gruul Red-Green looks to be the premium aggressive guild for the set. I think it looks like the most powerful that's had that selection of cards. And you've got cards like Gruul Spellbreaker, which are going to be key players in the new standard format, I think. Just having that one ability to protect your creatures from cards like Settle the Wreckage really is really useful. And it spotlights Riot as well. So, Riot is a new mechanic for Gruul. And it says either you can have your creature come into the battlefield with an extra +1/+1 counter to make it that big boy, or it can have haste for the turn. So it just gives you that extra flexibility which red doesn't necessarily normally have. Sometimes you kind of run out of gas, but always having that option to have that hasty creature just feels really powerful on like a range of cards, even like the 2-drop Goblin and other cards.
Rhythm of the Wild. 3 mana.
Rhythm of the Night.
3 mana enchantment. Gives your creatures Riot when they come in. So of course you can put 1/1 counter on, or they have haste. Also means your creatures can't be countered. So it's only an uncommon, which is slightly surprising because it seems like a very powerful card at first glance. I think maybe seen a lot against control, probably.
I
can see it.
main deck in I really do. Because it stacks.
It does, yeah.
It's
Riot
3 mana, which
stacks
is
as well,
clunky,
so-
but you play like Manowar and stuff.
Yeah, it seems very strong.
So you can tap mana straight away from Gruul. Seems like one of the most powerful guilds. I think it'll be the most popular at pre-release. I think, yeah, most people are going to go for it. Boris did really well in the last pre-release, and that was quite aggressive.
I agree, Christy. Yeah, I think people like to get on that aggressive deck for the pre-release, and it does look quite fun, and you get a bit more choice than you might normally do in the kind of typical like stompy green decks, because you have that Riot choice of cards like that. So yeah, it could be a strong one out of the gates.
So Rakdos doesn't actually have too many good-looking mixed-coloured cards. However, mono black does seem pretty powerful in set. For instance, the card Spawn of Mayhem looks to be very powerful. So it's a 4/4 flying demon. However, it has Spectacle, which for 3 mana, so 1 and 2 black, which basically means if your opponent lost life this turn, you can play for its Spectacle cost instead of its actual mana cost. So getting a 4/4 flyer down turn 3 seems pretty good.
Seems pretty powerful, yeah, especially for that aggressive deck. And mono black could definitely come in this set. You've been introduced by another 1-drop with 2 power, so you've got Gutter Bones, which I think we like the look of, and that means mono black this time round has now got 12 1-drops that can deal 2 damage when they attack. So you've got the vampire that swings and makes them lose 1, and the other zombie, which is a 2/2 as well. So maybe it'll be the way to start. But yeah, you like Gutter Bones, don't you?
I think Gutter Bones is pretty solid. The ability where you can bring it back from the graveyard, I think that might. I don't know if there's a way to abuse that ability, but I feel like there might be. With all the sacking, there's a lot of cards where you sacrifice a creature for a fairly powerful ability, so that might be exploited through that. Fireblade Artist in Rakdos seems pretty sick. Don't you agree?
Well, it's a 2/2 haste, and I think it's certainly an interesting card. Now, Jake was saying earlier how it looks like there's a sacrifice deck somewhere, but it's not quite been found yet. It feels like it's just missing a few pieces.
There's the only payoff I've seen. So there's an Orzhov card which is a 2/2. You pay 1 generic. You can sack a creature and it gains death for touch and indestructible. Which is not a payoff at all. Like, you can't keep. You can force a 2/2/3 for so long, but that doesn't get you anywhere, does it?
Not with cards. Not without cards like Hidden Stockpile, where you can kind of keep restocking your creatures and have that extra support from that.
Bring back Hidden Stockpile.
The other exciting cards from Rakdos is kind of taking the other spin on it, moving away from the aggressive decks. We've got Bedevil's the new card. It's a Hero's Downfall that also hits artifacts. So it's a 3 mana, pretty much answer all of the important threats. It answers to Fairy and pretty much all of the creatures. So it's a pretty scary threat. So maybe we'll see more of a black-red themed control deck. So that could either fit into a Jund style deck or Mardu, as I said earlier. So yeah, that's it's definitely going to be a big player in the format. It just depends on quite where it's going to fit in with, I think, a third colour. I think black-red on its own might struggle, unless people go quite pure and kind of go for it. But with the mana base like it is, I feel like you can just kind of be a bit greedy and throw in a third colour to get that bonus.
Grixis?
Yeah, like Grixis, and then maybe it'll have... You could probably even play Niv Mizzet, and that's kind of shows how greedy it is, by playing Niv Mizzet and double black spells. Like, it's definitely doable.
Right,
Now on to the last guild, the Simic, but I'm talking more like Sitmic.
Yeah, you're really liking the look of this one then, Jay?
I do like the look of this one, mainly for limited. You have some great, a lot of synergy, I think. They're quad colours. I don't know what you call this set of cards that are 2 of each colour.
Ah, yeah, the old colour.
Colour. Obviously, we've got Frilled Mystic at uncommon this time. Green, blue, 3/2 flash. When it enters the battlefield, count a target spell.
Flash!
Ah!
Elf Lizard of the Wizard.
Flash feature with a counter ability on it is pretty powerful. We saw the likes of this, and obviously it was 3 mana in Spell Queller, which dominated the format when it was in Standard. Still sees modern play. Putting a body and countering a spell is generally quite powerful.
This is going to be a really strong card going into, well, in both Limited and in Standard, I think. It's a wizard, maybe that'll be relevant as well. It's also an elf, so, I mean, if you're looking for tribes, then you've got 3 tribes on here.
It's also a lizard.
Yeah, you've got some lizard support
So
on it as well.
tribal, I think.
That's
Just imagine a couple months ago when Teemo was, more than a couple months ago, before it got banned to oblivion, Teemo was the top dog. If something like this came out during then, it would slot right in and be... It's irrelevant, but just imagine how powerful it would be in that kind of shell. I think that's what it needs at the moment, some kind of mid-range shell so that, because I'm not quite sure what deck it goes into.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether there'll be some kind of like mono-green deck, but with the kind of blue counterspell backup support, but like mainly a stompy deck. Maybe we'll see something along the lines. But playing cards like this means you can play Ferox, and cards that limit the ones where you want to play more creatures like Adventurous Impulse and things like that, where you don't normally want too many spells in the deck, but you get these utility creatures.
It does die to Kyrie's Wrath.
It does, unless you wait and then flush it in and it counters Kairos Raft. But yeah, so definitely a strong start for blue-green. And some of the other highlights include...
Galloping Lizrog.
Galloping Lizrog.
Yeah, the Galloping Lizrog seems pretty powerful.
Definitely a limited
good
start.
Good to see some more Frog Tribal coming in.
Another exciting card from Simic is the Prime Speaker Vanifar. It's a pretty powerful card because it's got Birthing Pod on a stick. Now, Birthing Pod has been banned in Modern. Obviously, having it on a separate artifact is quite different, but that ability to kind of tutor up creatures is such a powerful card to have. And I think having these kind of cards are so powerful that maybe it'll change the format, because people will certainly be looking to play cards like this, at least to test them out. So we'll see. I think we'll see some interesting, maybe a bit of a slower format as people test these out.
So Merfolk still looks a bit meh, to be honest.
Merfolk.
Merfolk.
I've been really excited for Simic to come out to get Breeding Pool for back in my Merfolk deck and have some new Merfolk come in. Unfortunately, we've been a bit let down. There's not that many good ones. There's this bad Guild Mage here, which is just a bit average, as we've kind of said with some of the other Guild Mages. And there's a new Lord, but it's 4 mana. I'm not very excited to play it. The only one I'd be more interested in playing is the 1-drop, which kind of suggests it could be a bit more powerful, but I think it's also a wizard, so maybe it's just better off going in wizards than Merfolk. And maybe I think green-blue as a deck in general just wants to be, as we were saying earlier, like more of a just creatures and maybe counterspell backup, just a kind of more of a green-blue value deck rather than Merfolk generally.
The Simic ability this time around is Adapt. It'll be a certain mana cost, and then it'll be Adapt, and then a number, and then whatever number that is, you put that many counters on the creature when you Adapt. Generally not that powerful, but pretty good and limited, I think. Upgrading creatures is quite a strong ability, and quite a few cards are evolved around Adapt, so there's abilities that trigger when you put counters on them. Like that new 2-drop, whenever you put a counter on it, you can search for another one. So that kind of card advantage is pretty good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Adapt's a very it'll be strong and limited. It just gives you your creatures that big boost to just make them that bit bigger. But otherwise, it's a very unexciting mechanic, just because we've kind of seen it before, and it doesn't feel very new. It doesn't feel very fresh. But I think it makes sense in the blue-green deck, but it's just not very exciting. Okay, so that's the 5 guilds. We've had a quick run through, picked out some of our highlights. I will say, quick mention that the split cards are back again this set. We will like a good split card with the extra versatility. Now, some people have been saying that those split cards have come about as a result of Magic Online on the arena being best of 1. So people want more flexible cards. So it's been an interesting one that's kind of split the community a bit, because some people are arguing that best of 1 is bad for Magic and you should have that sideboard in, and therefore you want less of those versatile cards because you want to streamline your decks and that kind of thing. But I think some people are pretty pro best of 1, just so that people can get quick games grinded out on arena, and maybe that's the future of kind of watching online Magic.
Yeah, I agree completely. I personally prefer the non-split cards. Mainly I just think they look cooler. I like to have a big bit of art on the card, so I just think
we all like full art promos as well. So
what about you, Jake?
I feel with the split cards, I haven't been impressed with that many, because both sides you're only getting half a card. The new rule on this, red, deal target damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the power of your creature.
Yeah.
And there's 4 mana, make a 4/4 trample, but you wouldn't play either of those cards.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much those split cards do see play, or whether it's kind of that design spaces have been put there for arena, like some people are saying. And I don't think that's necessarily bad, because it hasn't taken up the whole set full of bad cards. It's just they've kind of put a few things on.
So 2019, new you, new year, new me. It's all about picking up a new deck, getting a good homebrew on. Let's do this.
Yeah, totally agree, Christy. So what deck do you think you're going to try out in the new year?
So I'm going to be playing Pirates to freshen it up a bit in Standard.
Yeah, well, if you've got the control set up, maybe cards like Bedevil and those red removal spells might help, or even the red threats and like good planeswalkers like Angrath from the old sets might come in handy in that deck.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm going to see how pre-release goes, see what seems good. But at the moment, I'm going to stick to Pirates. What about you?
Well, my plan, Christy, is to go New Year, more aggro, I think. I'm going to start by building a red-green Ghoul deck. I think it's got some of the most exciting new aggressive cards. And I think the issue is deciding whether to go like more mono-red and trying to just splash green for cards like Gruul Spellbreaker, or whether you want to go full red-green and play cards like Pout Collector and those like traditional like big just like stompy creatures. And I think there's definitely a deck to work out there, whether it will end up playing Feroxes or what. I think it's going to look something like this, with a few 1-drops in, maybe Llanowar Elves. I think what needs to be worked out for Gruul is whether you want to go low to the ground, play 1-drops, 2-drops, like those low-costed aggressive creatures, and curve out nicely, or whether it's going to have a more of a late game build with cards like Regisaur Alpha, because Dinosaurs have been a bit out of the meta now, but with the new Stomping Ground reprint, the mana base gets a lot better, and maybe we'll just see kind of that influx of red-green dinos and people playing aggressive, just bigger boys. So Carnage Tyrant and cards like that are still all-stars in Standard, and if they will have haste with cards like Rhythm of the Wild, then maybe that'll be something to just take it back into the meta. There's also the new Domri Raid Planeswalker, which will probably go into sideboard maybe, depending on quite how they're built. You're pretty hot on that card, Jake, aren't you?
I do think it'll be good in the main board actually. It ramps you, it gives it's a bit counteractive with the Rhythm of the Wild itself.
They fetched up 2 creature cards, which is slightly better than the Adventurous Impulse. So I think it's an interesting one. I don't think it's necessarily going to be like, it's not going to be the all-star like Chandra was in the last format, which definitely. you can kind of compare it to with the kind of adding the mana and having that kind of powerful ultimate. But this feels the power levels are a lot less than Chandra was. But I think it's definitely got its place and might make Gruul decks a bit more interesting. What about you, Jake? Do you got your eyes on a new deck for the new year?
I've been thinking a lot about all the sweet removal that Rakdos has lately. Obviously, I've always been a bit keen towards the red-black. I was hoping to move out of that, but there's that new 3-mana zombie, the 3/2. I think it's a zombie.
Yeah.
Death Touch Menace. So you're always going to kill... If he gets blocked, you're always going to kill 2 creatures, most likely. And he gives all your instant and sorceries Death Touch. I think it's a little too cute to be trying to play like the 4-mana 2/1 to all your opponent's creatures and stuff like that, but turning all of your shocks and lightning strikes to kill any creature is pretty powerful. Utility card, I guess, the word?
I think it just gives you almost I don't think reach is the right word, but you're right. Sometimes like you get in a position, especially with these like the Gruul decks we're going to see, is someone's going to play those big green creatures, which normally red really struggles to deal with.
Yeah.
If you're playing like an aggressive deck, and what it does, as you say, is it turns those shocks into death touches, so you can kind of clear the path for your cards.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So you could play. It'd be very similar to the like red black aggro mid-range kind of thing. Obviously, you could still play Chain Whirler. That new Rakdos removal spell is really good. And also maybe that 3-mana 4/4 demon that drains 1 for 1. Just a lot of threats and a lot of removal, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems pretty good, and there might even be some overlap with Christie's Grixis Pirate deck if.
Yeah.
So none of us have really looked at white-blue control because it's not really my jam. But I think white-blue control is probably going to be there again. It's got a new shock land to add to the mana base, and Jeskai control was always kind of sat there with Teferi still being maybe the most powerful card in Standard. It's just such a strong planeswalker that in the new set with cards like Absorb that we talked about earlier, I think there's definitely going to be a strong deck there. So that's our insight into some of the new cards in the set and how we think they're going to fit into Standard and kind of the limited lookouts for the guild mages that Christie likes. So with that all said and done, I guess
it's time for me to take my revenge on Christie in this week's game show.
So it's 2019 and getting ghosted is still a big thing, obviously. So it's important to watch out for that.
I win though.
So we're going to give you that ghosting experience with our new game show, Ghosted.
Hi Andrew, I'm from lovely town of Nailsworth. I work in sales. My hobbies include going to the library, going for garlic bread, and boogieing the night away.
Hi, I'm Christy Moore. I'm from Stroud. I'm unemployed. Hi.
So with this game, we're going to remove parts of certain magic cards. They're going to fade away, and you've got to tell us which parts of the card are missing in the new set.
Ooh, okay.
I don't get it.
So I thought you might ask that, Christy. So we're going to give us an example here. We're going to get up the old Azorius charm. So with a few minor adjustments to it.
How did that cat push the door in?
Okay, so yeah, if you take a close look, you can see that the Azorius logo is obviously missing from the locket in the middle.
Is that true? How did you do that?
And also, it only taps for white mana.
What?
So you get the general premise. So what you're going to have to do is you're each going to get a card one at a time, and you've got to spot the difference and pick out what's wrong with it. And you get a point if you get your question right. And if the other person...
You just got to say what's missing?
If you just got to say what's missing each time.
Is there only ever two things, or can it be?
It can be one thing, sometimes it's two things. It's I've mixed it up a few times.
I have not looked at cards enough in this.
So we got complaints last time that the game show was really easy, so we've gone a bit harder this time, so it might be a bit more competition.
Easy? I thought it was at Storms, it was a classic.
If your opponent gets the question wrong, then you've got a chance to swipe right and steal.
Ooh, swipe right.
Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, Jake takes the first play.
Okay.
So Jake is up first. So here we go. Here's your first question, Jake. So here's the card.
Trial. Exile target creature with power 4 or more.
Ooh.
More or less. More or less. Wait. Exile target creature. It's missing a mana cost for sure. It's 4 mana, not 3.
Is there two things wrong with it?
It's 5 mana. It is 3 mana.
I'll put. It's simple this round. There's not a lot missing. There's only the one thing missing this round.
Exile target creature with power 4 or more.
Correct.
4 greater.
4 or greater, but it's the same principle. We're going
Oh, it's
for that.
4 greater.
Yes, 4 greater.
I'll take the steal.
Yeah. Okay, so Christy's first card. It's a spirit you've got this time.
Other creatures you control with flying get.
Now, what do they get, Christy?
+0, +1.
That is a banging answer. Woo! Correct. None of you are getting ghosted so far. So Jake's next card.
Yeah. Way too big to lose.
Bit more difficult this time. You might want to look quite closely on this one.
Chillbringer. It doesn't untap nor in the next untap stuff.
Is that your final answer, Jake?
Yeah.
There's a chance to steal.
Oh! Damn. I'm not very good at these games.
I can't see it. The symbol was wrong.
So I'm going to have to push you for an answer, Christy. What's wrong?
It's not right.
Nah, that's wrong. That's wrong. So Jake was half correct. None of you get a point for that though. So it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So you're right about that. But it's also got flying.
Oh, that's a pretty good card actually.
That's a pretty solid card, I reckon. Yeah, I agree. So Christy's card, Christy's blue card is
Persistent Petitioners. Okay. Something.
It's the new rat colony for the set. You can put as many as you want in your deck, but how many incorrect ghosted things can you guess?
Is there only one?
It's the same difficulty as Jake's card.
I'm going to say... it costs 2 mana.
Is that your final answer, or would you like to add a second part to that answer?
And it costs 1 mana as well as tapping it to do its ability.
What mana? What mana?
1 mana.
Yeah, a generic mana or a blue mana?
Blue mana.
So I'm going to have to offer the steal.
Ah, it's a generic mana.
Oh, Jake, you snake! He's thrown Christy off the scent. Jake's correct. It's 1 generic mana, so Jake gets the point.
Because I know it wouldn't be a blue mana. Why? Because that'd be terrible.
So this is the flavour text round. That's the spoiler here. Only the flavour text is gone. But Jake, what is the flavour text?
I've got to pick one out of those two, or I've got to make one up.
No, you've got to finish the flavour text. There's a
Bloody
third
hell,
line.
Andy. I am a sewer king, I said rat. I am quick and cunning, I know every tunnel. No, I am king, said zombie. I am cold and deadly, and no rot can harm me.
Right.
How on earth am I supposed to get that? Are you joking? No, I am king, said dragon. My wings spread the sky, and I breathe fire hotter than them volcanoes.
A solid guess from Jake, but it's wrong. We'll see what Christy says, and maybe the best flavour text will get a point if Christy doesn't get it right.
I'm going to take a punt
He's going to take a punt.
and say... the crocodile ate them both.
Oh!
What?
Then Croc came and ate them both! Christy's got it! He's got the steal!
Oh, got it.
That was some good play there from Christy. So,
Thank you, mate.
Christy's card,
My
Christy's
favourite
flavour
text.
text round is...
Is this mine now?
Draw it.
Oh yeah. Okay, drill bit. I actually read this as well.
I'm going to put this one in your Grixis Pirates deck, but will you get a point?
It is. It won't take long.
There's a chance for steal.
It will only hurt a lot.
Is that it?
No.
Oh!
Never boring.
Oh, let's see. I thought mine was good actually.
That was really good. That was a good line from Jake there. That was a good line. Oh.
Flavour text though.
So so next round we're on to our red cards with Jake.
Bloody hell.
Jeez, man. Destroy target artifact, destroy card creature.
So what's missing on this card? It's quite a versatile card, but what's it missing?
A third option.
I'm not saying anything, Jake. I'm just saying it's missing something else from the card.
1 mana. Unless it's 2 mana and it destroys target creature flying. Then why would red have to destroy target creature flying? Just think 2 goblins ripping apart a gargoyle. Gargoyles fly. They also generally have defender in magic, and they're normally an artifact. Destroy target creature flying.
That is a solid guess, but it's wrong, and there's a chance for steal. Christy?
I'm going to say... There's something missing, is it?
There's
That's the whole point of the game!
I'm going to say destroy target artifact or enchantment.
So
That'd be too good.
I like Jake's answer, but unfortunately the correct answer was there's a giant green goblin in the bottom left hand of the corner. It's not there.
What, have you cleaned it with you got that shadow?
Yeah, I've taken him out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that good at Photoshop. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So,
I can kind of notice now.
Christie's round it is now. He's in a pretty good position going into his red card. So
we got Rick's May the Reveler. Is it something in the image then? Is that what we're looking for?
it can be anything missing on the card, Christy.
Crikey. Do you know?
No.
He's got a chance to steal after you, Christy. So
I'm gonna say
seems like the party ability.
the flavour text is missing.
That's incorrect.
There's no room for any flavour text.
Yeah,
What's your thinking, Jake?
So I'm thinking
I'm
going on the
thinking-
flavour that the other one was an image one, but this one is also image.
Okay, you might be onto something there, Jake.
But what?
But what is up with the image?
Is it missing a fireball or chains in between?
No,
Let me think about this. They're not supposed to be fireballs.
What are they if
Bold
they're not meant to be fireballs, Jake?
Juggling balls. Skulls!
What's your final answer, Jake?
I'm going to go with skulls.
There's a skull on the
They're all skulls!
I noticed by the fire it looks Photoshop. I'm a
Oh
detective.
my god.
That's a good one, Andy. That's a good one.
Woo!
Oh, just
That
like
was good. Jake is back in it.
What's the score?
It's all coming down to the final round. So the scores are displayed here on the screen. I can't remember at the time of filming.
So look.
So
Yeah, is that the
I
final
think the score is currently... So can Christie bring back the draw or even take the steal for the last point?
Is this the last card?
So that you've each got one card left.
Is that? It's Jake's turn.
So it's Jake's turn. Jake's green card.
It's missing instant.
Is that your final answer? It's a tricky round because it's the final round, Jake.
I think it's missing some sort of creature on the artwork, but I can't remember what it was. A crab or something?
I'll take a rough guess. If you want to lock in an answer, then you're free to say.
It'll be some sort of snake or crab or creature, and it's missing instant. That's my answers.
So there's a chance to steal. Christy, what do you think is wrong with the card?
I'm gonna say it's a sorcery.
And anything else, Christy?
There should be another fairy in the top right.
Bang on, yeah!
Oh my days.
Yeah, it's a sorcery speed spell there. Got caught out with that one, Jake.
I can tell something had been removed because you can see on that one.
Yeah. So yeah, so that takes Christy up to 3-3.
Oh!
And it's all to play for
Ah, shit.
on Christy's last question.
Oh fucking hell. Is it
So quite a simple one to see what's missing here, but do you know the card?
it's a frog. It's also a lizard.
Is that your final answer?
And the ability is there isn't one.
Is that your final answer, Christy?
Yeah.
So on the last point of the game, Jake's got a chance to steal.
It's a frog lizard, 3 in a blue, gains flying until end of turn.
He's got the ability, right? He's got the creature type wrong! Because it's a snake.
It's a snake. You're a snake, Andy. Snake.
We're all
Is that a
snakes
draw?
here. So that's a draw.
That's
That's
a
a
draw,
draw. No winners here this time. Wave to the camera, Jake. Wave goodbye.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's been a great time.
Wave goodbye to the camera, Christy. No, other camera.
Over here.
Yep, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I've had a really good day. I've had lots of fun, and yeah, I'm glad it was a draw in the end. I thought we both played really well.
So yeah, thanks to our two wonderful contestants. That was a really close game, And aren't we all snakes at the end of it?
Our fire's gone out. Thanks for joining us.
It's been another great episode. Good banter all round. We found out who the snakes were. Looked at our new decks. So yeah,
Good to have you back, Christy.
Yeah, so good to have you back from Vietnam.
I wish I could say the same.
Oh, that's ooh. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It's
great
been...
new set. Hope you check it out at your
local game store.
Yeah,
if it's still there. We need to do a shout out for Relating, if you're watching.
Big shout out to Big Head Small Hat. Keep those pizzas delivering. One of our biggest fans. I think that's all from
Stefan. Shout out.
our main fan. Always watches it.
Tobias. Shout out.
Malwaki always watches it. Rich Hill always tunes in. One of our biggest fans. Old Toby boy.
Richie boy.
Yeah.
Always room for more fans, so drop us a comment if you want to get that big old sweet mention in the comments next time.
Make sure you hit that bell and subscribe.